Hi, everyone. You see an empty box next to me. Oh, other way. But that was Ashley Moulin-Pasillo. She was here. It was great, but her bandwidth is not. So she is at altitude and doesn't have internet connection. So that's capable of capturing the broadcast. So we're going to run with me solo, which should be super interesting because everyone wants to hear me make ridiculous comments again to myself, me, myself, and I. But at least we'll capture some great racing and we'll talk about a lot of the women that we're seeing, and hopefully Damon might be able to append a message from Ashley at the end after the broadcast is over, and you can get what you really want, which is to see and hear from Ashley, who is the founder of ROCACORBA and the owner of the hotel in Girona, and the creator of the system that they use, which is having women race and then DS. So they have their elite women race, and then they turn around and they DS community level racers, which I think is actually amazing. So hopefully we can hear more about it eventually. So we are here in day 3 of the ROCACORBA and Iceni race, and we started 2 weeks ago with Douce France. Last week we saw Gentile 8, and this week we are doing Figure 8 in Watopia, one of the older courses, which is a super interesting course. It's got about a 2-minute and a 5-minute effort in it. So we're gonna hit the Zwift KOM reverse and the hilly KOM, and 2 ways across the JWB sprint as well. So the hilly KOM is first, and that is interesting in that it will break up the race. That mass start is gonna blow up there because it's about a 5-minute effort, I'd say, for the C riders, and for the A's, it'll probably be under 4 minutes. So I'm sure we'll see a big long line when we get there, and then before they hit the sprint, they'll all be broken up. So we'll see what those FTS times are through the JW sprint. Again, you can check Zwift Power after the fact for the league points for the FTS. And then we've got the hilly KOM, which is about a 2-minute effort, I'd say, for the Bs, maybe 2:15 for the Cs, and maybe 1:50, 1:45 for the As, followed by another sprint. So all of the segments this week are FTS. The first is going to get 10 points, second 8 points, third 6, fourth 4, fifth 2, and sixth 1. All the racers are going to get 1 power up this week, which is a feather power up, as opposed to the last 2 weeks where they had 1 arrow. This week, they're going to have to decide whether they want to use their feathers on the KOMs. Sprinters might even want to save it for acceleration in the sprint, but they don't want to be alone. So they don't want to get dropped before they have their chance to strut their stuff on the sprints. I'm going to go over the standings real quickly for the overall GC. And in some categories, it's super tight. In the A's, we've got only 2 seconds separating the top 4. So we've got 3 Sin riders, which is pretty spectacular. We've got Gemma Prochnow, Isabella Lease, and Melissa Bell in first, third, and fourth, with Anne Nevin, who, fan, coming in second right there, and only 2 seconds between Prochnow and Bell. So that's a super tight race. After that, it drops off by about 30 seconds. So I think those 4 are the ones we're going to watch. In the Bs, we've got Ida Fredholm out front by about 2 seconds ahead of Liz BLN, who is also SYN. So they're out front by a 15-second margin. So if they're both in the race, that's probably the top of the podium right there. And then we've got Maria Nyberg and Mona Konismini. I'm sorry, Sisu. You should tell me how to pronounce that. But both of those are within shouting distance. So still a close race to watch. The C's are almost as close as the A's, however. So they've got only 4 to 5 seconds separating the top 7. with Harriet Gilson, Ro Burbell, Joanne Harper, Alex Kay, Nicola Smith, Katie Hedrick, Catherine Haug-Sains, all within 6 seconds. So that's one to watch as well. The D field has been established at this point. Laura Fidau is quite a bit ahead, almost 2 minutes. So she's likely to win that D category. And Charlotte Walton, if she's in the race, will be her competition in the D. So something else to watch. And then in the E's, which is new racers, we've got 2 Galaxy women in the top 2, so Emma G and Kate, and they have about 5 minutes in between them. So Emma is likely to get that that first place if she finishes all 4. And again, if you win the GC, you're going to get 3 months of access to the training tier for ROCACORBA. You do have to join their Zwift club. So that is definitely something to note for those women in the top podium. So we're about 2 minutes away from the start here. And just a reminder, everybody's wearing their Penn jerseys. So Cat A is in the Garmin jersey. That's 500 plus racing score. Cat B is in the ROCACORBA Collective jersey. That's 375 to 499. Which we haven't mentioned before, but is a slightly different pen than often you find for Bs. It's slightly bigger. So Cat B with ZRS, you often see 400 to 500. So this is a little bigger pen. Cat C is in the Femme Cycle Collab jersey, which is obviously my personal favorite, except for the Coalition, which is 250 to 374. Cat D is in Watch the Party ROCACORBA jersey. They're 120 racing score 125 to 249, and Cat E is in the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift's jersey, and their racing score is 0 to 124. Today's race should be anywhere from about 42 minutes for the A's down to about an hour for the D's and E's. So it is quite a bit longer than Douce France, at least. So going live in 15 seconds. And we do have a little bit of time before that Zwift KOM reverse. So I'm hoping everybody kind of stays in a big chunk so we can see a lot of the action before we get to that Zwift KOM reverse. All right, so we do have over 200 women starting again. So this is actually pretty good. The first race, I think we had over 250. And in this race, we've got, I think it says 231 racers. So that's pretty good continuity race, 3 out of 4. We do see this big long line here. Everybody's going to get in a massive churning group. Yeah, this group is over 100 riders. So that's quite the group. It's gonna look a little messy until things string out, because obviously there's limitations when you're watching the game of watching more than 100 riders at a time. Ooh. Tella's trying something. Not sure what she's trying. But her bike's beautiful. Tella, get out of the wind. Oh, is that Elise Gallegos is right behind her, not letting her go. Let's see if this breaks up here. That would be an early break to the race and a long race to ride solo. Ah, she's getting caught. Maybe she was just testing the water, see who's going to go with her. And the number of people that you see going with her that have those checks is quite substantial. So you see Hogue, Angie Nell, you see Horner, Pruitt, Lease. These are some big names here. And Horner was one of those racers we saw killing it on the sprints. And so she wants to stay in this group. She's going to have to figure out how she approaches the KOM, because she's obviously a sprinter and not in contention for the GC, which she's probably not even going for at this point. She's probably going for the sprint points, but she wants to be in there when they get over the first KOM, so she has a chance at the sprint. And that KOM's really one steep bit up front, and then it's kind of lumpy bumpy through the finish. So if you can get over that first cap and underneath the statue together, you have a chance of making it through. And here we see Rianne Denton, and she is in this first group. I know I saw her name pop up. And Tammy Lewis, I also saw her name pop up. So I think they're both in this group for sure. Laura Lawson, I haven't seen her name pop up yet, but I bet she's in there. And Giovanna Fantuccio, which is a great name, in the D group. Don't see any of, I do see a couple of the jerseys from the Ds, so she may also be in this group. All right, so they're going to come up out of the tunnel here. This is just a little press. If anybody really wanted to go for it here, it's only about 200 meters, so you don't want to be on the back here. So everyone just kind of wants to stick in the middle to keep that draft. So you see it string out quite a bit, went from a circle to a line, but I don't see it breaking yet. So that gives those women that are behind a chance to keep pushing. Don't let them go. You see it breaking here, and that's the point that you want to just yell, get back in the group, it's worth it. So that KOM starts at 7.1 kilometers. There's Tella out front again. She's really making a big push early in the race. Let's see if she can keep doing this aggressive style riding through the race. Blobbing back up. Good job, everybody, pushing back in. All right, so here they're going to come to a sweeping uphill. I think everybody that's ridden on Zwift knows this hill. It is not very serious, but you're going to get you're going to climb up a little bit, and then they're going to turn towards the KOM. So we'll see if this strings out again, if they're going to stay in a circle again, or if it's going to line out. You see a lot more people still catching on, and that's awesome. This group is still a super healthy size. See a bunch of those Femme Cycle Collab jerseys coming in the back. It is lining out again. Let's see. I have not seen any power-ups be used yet. All right, Tella's back in the group. You can see her name call out. So she's sitting in the middle now. So again, very gentle climb. You see just 1%. But it's definitely stretching out already. All right, and I actually still I see some coalition women that I know are either in the B or the C group in this front group still. So you see a lot of mixed jerseys in here. Lots of the ROCACORBA jersey, lots of the Femme Cycle in the back of this group, and that's 375. That is 250 to 374. So we're going to take a right here, cross the bridge, and start the KOM. So we'll see when we start seeing those feathers pop up. One thing I was excited to ask Ashley, who is a noted climber, that was about her strategy for this KOM, because it definitely is super steep in the beginning and then it really flattens out. Ooh, Tella's off the front again. So whether she would hit it for 30 seconds to try to make a break, or whether she really would stick in the group and try to save her energy for that second KOM. Tella's got 2 seconds on the group. She is definitely trying to make some, maybe she's going for the FTS on the KOM, but the QOM rather, and is FTS this time. So typically you'd see people wanting to stay with the group until the start of the KOM. They just passed the start banner for that KOM. So everyone here you see making a move now because they're through the segment start time. But Tella was off the front there. Maybe she's super confident in her ability to just crush everyone on the climb. I did see one feather there, but I would expect to see them right about here in about 5 seconds. I would expect to see pop, 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 pop. And not as much as I would think. Maybe people are very confident. Oh, you see Rianne going at it. And Tammy. And Laura. Nice climbing, ladies. See, Rianne's managing to keep her cadence 76. That is impressive. I'm definitely more where Tammy is generally here. You in the mid 60s. I know Anne's a climber in the lower cadence as well. So Rianne, super impressive. All right, so they're up. This front group is definitely smaller. And if they can keep pushing it here, everybody who really struggled up in that super steep section is going to want to have a break here. And if the front group can keep pushing, they can solidify that break and maybe get a better chance at the second KOM if they're in a big enough group. And that's kind of that balance, right? Of you want a group for the fastest through the segment times, but if you can get rid of your sprinters so they don't have the fastest crew to sprint through and with, then you're doing better for yourself, for your own chances at FTS. It looks like this group, I wonder if Damon can help us see how big this group is, because it's definitely, I see mostly Garmin jerseys in here. Yeah, a little bit of a break at the back. Definitely some daylight. You can see the glowing Tron in the background. But you do see they're not really pushing it as much as I would expect. I just saw Anne at 7 watts a kilo, so eat my words. But not as much as I would think to try to create a gap to the back. So everyone wants to be together as they go through that banner and hit the downhill, because descending in a group will definitely make you descend faster. So let's see if Damon can go to the back of this group. We can see how many women we have here. Oh, Fred Holmes out front. That is the leader of the Cat B, still in there. All right, so 45 women in this front group, but not too big a gap. That's 5 seconds. I was expecting to see a much bigger blow up here. So I think this group at least, go Alex, go Veronica, go Rachel. They could actually close this because they're really only 6 seconds off that front group. And Vanessa Beaver made it. Good job, Vanessa. They're almost through that KOM banner. Oh. There you go. And Tella finished with the group. So she really did herself a disadvantage by going off the front before the start. So if they didn't catch this group by the descent, those people that were dangling off the back 1 second, 2 second would definitely have a hard time. And you see mostly Garmin jerseys here, although I did definitely recognize some names from that B category, and I do see some of the ROCACORBA Collective jerseys in here. So I don't think I see any Femme Collab, so that would be your category C riders. And I'd love to go back and look for them while these women are descending, because they're going to get to the JWB sprint pretty soon, but they have to go through the S's and over the top of those S's before they hit that sprint. So if we could go back now and look at the groups behind and just see if we can get any big groups. Okay, so there we see a Femme Collab rider. So I'm wondering, again, that's category C. So if that's Gibson, is she in the? Oh, there's Joanne Grogan and Amy Young. Lots of my favorites. Teresa Crane, Lindsay Nagy. These women all ride together generally. So I imagine that they might be on a video call encouraging each other, which really personally helps me. I find if I'm riding for myself, by myself, I suck. And I suck less when I'm riding for a team or I'm riding with my teammates. And I think that I've heard that is not just a me thing. So we definitely, so these women are in the 70s and 80s in the group. So the front group of 45 has definitely splintered off as the biggest group that we see. I don't see any other on the map that are a big blob. So that may have just blown it up for the rest of the race. And I guess we'll see as we come through the sprint if that splits it up further, or if it stays together until around kilometer 22 when they're going to hit the backside of that KOM. All right, so here we see a lot of these are C and D category riders. I definitely recognize those jerseys. So we're definitely, this is only halfway through all the riders that we have in the race. And it's definitely separating out by category, although you do see a Garmin rider right there. And that Garmin is the A jersey, so maybe someone definitely not a climber. There's Eva Plant and Fearless. I've recognized that name from a lot of the riding that we commentate on. All right, so there's Abby. Way to go, Abby. Way to go, Liz. So this descent is one of those that you have to keep pedaling, and you're only going to get a super tuck again if you're in the front of the group that you're in. So if you're alone, I guess that's a benefit of being alone. Okay, Damon, if we can go to the front of the race, I think they're about to hit that that sprint. So this is the front of our race, all in a bunch again. So they definitely decided to save energy. There's one final hill in the S's. So the end of the S's, you have a little tiny climb, you descend, and then you have a blip up before the start of the sprint. So you really you want to be behind the front when you hit that blip, because the front's going to slow down the most as it hits it. So if it was me, or I would expect to see Horner, try to be like 3 or 4 rows back from the front, hitting that blip. So they want to come over this cap. So this is that hill. So you see it 5%, 6%. It's going to hit steep, no draft for just a second. And then the grade's going to come down and they're going to start to descend. And as they gather that speed going downhill, it's that snowball effect, right? They want to be in a big group, but they don't want to be right at the front, because the start line of the sprint is right where they might slow down if they hit at the front. So there's Elise, and Horner is right at the front of that, which I am surprised at. So, I mean, I guess she's got the numbers, but it'd be interesting to see after the fact if she gets any FTS for that, because she really didn't have any draft on that one. This big group, I would expect to see those FTS points come from them, just because it's really hard. So essentially, she's doing a solo effort. She's not. Elise is drafting off of her. And keeping up with her. So I'm not as good a sprinter as Horner is. I don't know if she got that one. I didn't see her solidify any gaps there, but maybe top 6. All right, so this group has whittled down just a little bit, but it's still mid-30s, so I think it'll collect again. They're going to go over a tiny hill, and then they're going to be able to descend a little bit, and that descending will collect everyone unless Tella wants to push it. So there's Femme Kavasan. She's a great rider. Jill Pruitt. I mean, this is really a a group. Oh, there's Randy. You do see a lot of sprinters in that group too. So Randy and Sabrina Horner are both, very good sprinters. Jill Pruitt, very good sprinter. So the sprinters and the climbers are still together. And I think that's because that first KOM wasn't as spicy as I would have predicted, I guess. So this was that Tella in the second group? Oh, so Tella has dropped off of that front group. Even as aggressive as she was in that first part of the race, she's now off of that front group. So here's Jen Panteluk. She is and Amy and Ari. These are all my best friends. Jen is a super triathlete. So she is one of those that can help close gaps in between. So as you get all strung out after a segment where everyone goes full gas, then you have some riders who are just consistent, who can keep pushing after and help you close gaps to other groups. So Jen's one of those riders. We'll see if she can do it in this race. She's actually training for the Half Ironman Worlds in Marbella, I think, in November. So, running does your legs no favors in biking, which is a sad truth. I know Elise Gallegos knows that too, because she's also one of those triathletes. And I think Half Ironman is her distance as well. So, all right, so this group, if we can go to the back, we can see how big it is, but it doesn't look more than 35 at this point. Yep. 36. Way to make a liar out of me. Oh, it's 35? Yes! I did that math all in my head just by guessing wildly. All right, so I would expect to see this group stay together. The next 5 kilometers are pretty flat. There's really nothing other than the climb out of the tunnel to differentiate between the groups. So I would expect this group to be the same when we hit that hilly KOM. That hilly KOM, again, is a shorter effort, so it benefits more powerful riders. I definitely see it as a power climb. So you see nice little groups working together. I see a lot of ROCACORBA jerseys in this one. So this is B's and C's. And these are C's, and actually, I think that's the D jersey. So that is. This is a nice little group. Hopefully they can pick up some stragglers here, although there is quite a bit of a gap in between them and the next group. So you got about 12 kilometers between the top of the KOM and the start of the next KOM, with that sprint in between. So there was a long time for people to collect, but there definitely is a growing gap between these big groups. And I think that's just because the women that are have been dropped from the group in front are just waiting for another group to collect. Although it'll be doing interesting things to the GC. So any A rider that didn't make that front group is probably out of contention. Although I did see Sarah Bishop, I did see Angie Nell, I did see Ann Nevin. I don't know if I saw Prack now. So this is great. You see women finding their groups. And this is one thing that I love about women's racing. Generally, if a woman is in a group, she's gonna stay with the group and not just try to kick people off of her draft. I do find that women tend to want to ride in a group as much as they can, which is I think awesome. This is a nice group size. 10 to 15, and you see one catching on in the back. And you can see at the bottom the mini map that Damon has up that they're not going to start the KOM until 22 kilometers. So they still have 6K of flat to down. All right. So we see our front group of just about 35, exactly 35 in here. And Isabella Lise and Marianne. I see almost all the leaders from the top 10 in the A group in here. And those few Bs that are in here are definitely benefiting from having made that group. So I would expect that that B group that's in here is now your front leaders for the Bs pretty solidly. So next week when we hit Chasing the Sun in Macquarie, we will definitely see more of a gap in between the Bs. Yeah, I see Fred home. Yeah. All right, so they're gonna hit that climb out of the tunnel soon, and it's not a big climb, but if someone was to try to go early for the KOM to try to split this group into two, I think the stronger riders could do it, right? They could do a little push, and then they could recover a little bit and be able to go again by the start of the KOM. So do you see it stringing out just a little bit here? All right. There's Tammy. She looks pretty comfortable right here. Oh, Hoag's off the front. That's All right. Much of your top 10 is right here. Tammy and Rianne are in this group. So they're going to continue climbing just a tiny bit to the intersection and take a left towards the KOM. Hoag's caught. I'd love to see how these women are going to attack the KOM, because I have my own strategy for this KOM, which is due to the fact that I'm a power climber and nowhere near the level of these ladies. But I definitely sit pretty conservatively for the first half, and I always try to accelerate through the flat part in the middle. And I know that super light riders try to do the reverse. So we'll see what these women do. So in this segment of what should Anne do, I'm hoping that she'll sit right behind the lead in the first part and then jump in the middle of that KOM. And let's see if anybody does it. They're going to hit the start line right here on the right. You see that line right there. All right. See some red numbers. Some women flying through that group. Now you see the feathers coming out. That feather lasts 30 seconds, quite a bit longer. It should be almost this entire stretch if they did it after the corner. But that corner is actually the steepest part of the KOM. All right, let's see if anybody goes here. Come on, Anne. Do it. All right, so right here is where I would say jump, right at this rock. Oh, Prochnow did it. Come on, ladies. Nice. I saw some lightning in there. Just a little bit longer to go. This is super climbing. And you saw some women, half the women used their power up in the first part and half used it in the second part. You see Randy still in here, which is impressive considering she is a sprinter. So come on, Anne. Keep pushing. There's Isabel Lift, Coldcloth, Prochnow. Wow, red numbers all the way through the end. That is impressive. So they were all together going through the start. So I think those front riders are also your FTS for that category. And I would imagine that actually the B's FTS time is going to come from that group as well. Wow, I think that group behind must have caught a little bit because we're already down to the mid 50s, and that was really only 20 seconds. Good climbing, Helen. Looks like Jen got dropped from that group we were watching her with earlier. So we see the C's about to hit this climb. The C's are actually similarly, oh, there are some C's on the climb. So the C's are super tight as well. We've got Gilson, Burbell, Harper, Kay, Smith, Hedrick, Hoagson, Rogers in the top minute. So even if they're not going for FTS, they want to stay with the group here. So you can either take a segment to try to win it, or you can take a segment to try to stay in it. And I think that dictates your strategy and where you're going to use your power up. And I guess you can use your power ups defensively or offensively, right? If you don't want to drop. So if you're saving it for a specific segment to go fast and win something, and then you see yourself dropping from a group, it's only as good as the group that you're in. So, all right, so this is about halfway through the race. We see a big mix of jerseys in here. Actually, I see 3 different types of jerseys. All right, so they're hitting the start of the segment. Again, for the A's, it was probably one in the 140s, 150, and maybe even lower. For the C's, I expect the fastest C's to be maybe 210. And this is the steepest segment here. As they go up around the corner, you can see they're going to hit, I think it hits double digits for just a second. Yeah, so 10%. And then I think it goes down to about 8% for this first long drag. You see not a lot of movement here, except for here's Jane Bacon, great rider. She's actually making great progress here. But you do have to sustain it. So a lot of people get over-geared. And if you're over-geared, when you hit that flattening out in the middle, that makes it a lot harder to maintain your speed or do that jump that I mentioned. All right, back with the front group here. So they're going to hit the reverse sprint segment, which is pretty flat. Probably the easiest of the segments by far, but it is after 26 kilometers of racing. So it's 360 meters at an average of negative 0.1%. They're going to go through the Italian villas, slow down a little bit on the cobbles, and then hit that segment line. So, all right, so your front group is down to nearly 20. So weird to see such great riders not in the front group. So that just goes, it is a testament to the quality of the field here. So you see they're descending to the Italian villas right now, but instead of going down the dirty suppressor, they're going to go right and go towards the segment. I have to say, I like my own company a lot less than I thought I did. All right, so now everybody's trying to get into the position they want for that start line. The start is before this tunnel. You can see it on the right-hand side any second now. There's that segment start time. So 360 meters from here. Oh, there you go. Angie's going for it. Anne's going for it. You must have some gas left. Oh, here comes Randy. This is kind of her bag, maybe a little long. She's having a hard time. There goes Elise, straight through the middle, straight out the front. Those aren't running legs. Not tri legs either. That's impressive. All right, so they have very little time to rest here because they're going to hit a hill, which is the start of the S's on the reverse way, and then they have that downhill finish. So if we want to, we can go back to the group behind, or we can just stay with this front group and then go back and catch what we can of the action behind. So Randy really started out strong. I thought she was for sure going to get it. But then look at Elise just flying through. I bet Elise got some of that. In such a long sprint, I guess it's really not a sprinter's sprint because 360 meters is actually, most sprinters that are true sprinters want to sprint 200 meters maybe, and this one quite a bit longer. So these ladies are about to hit. There's my ladies. All right, Amy. This one's yours. Here's the segment start line. Looks like they're not really going for this one, actually. I see mid fours. I think they gave up. Not gave up, period, but they're going for their total time. I think they just think they're not likely to get FTS. So, and the FTS only goes down to 6. So that's probably probably a good, safe move. And they're just going to work on their position for the S's and coming into the downtown finish. So I do see a big group about a minute behind them. But our front group is just about to hit that downhill. So this finish line is going to be interesting because they definitely don't have, nobody has a power up, I imagine. And it's a downhill, so it's going to benefit those bigger riders if they have the ability to come from the back. And the front of the A group is Prochnow, Nevin, Lise, Bell, Marb, and Nell. So these are essentially the top 10. Elise hasn't been racing the last couple, so Charlotte Kolkloff's in there too. That's their top 10. So right about this bridge, I would expect to start to see the first women go. So this is where if you want to go long, you go now. And Elise is going for it. So she definitely wanted to go long. All right, and Prochnow's right behind her, coming up hot. Oh, still had her power up. Wow. I think she's gonna catch her. Oh. Only one. That's impressive. And Angie Nell on fire. Sarah Bishop. That's a great finish. Elise went super long. I said if you were gonna go long, go now, and she did. That's super long, and she only got caught by one person. All right. Oh, first in this group going. Oh, Ellen Johnson. This is the one that won the Zwift ride, actually. She's got a brand new Zwift ride for racing in the Femme Cycle Collab series. All right, so here's probably the back of the A group, and the front of the C group I would expect is just right here. Here's all right, so there's Tella back in 58th position. She was the most aggressive in the front half of the race. And I'm not sure if she got dropped on the second KOM. I think that was where she dropped. So that's a good practice sprint. Look at that, those numbers, holy moly. Uh-oh. All right, so Tella's out front. She might be confident that she can beat the women behind her in a sprint, but also she knows they're not in her same category because they've got different jerseys on. So not worried about sprinting against them. Everybody went super late on that one. It was pretty much a 75-meter sprint. Nice job, ladies. Here's Maria Nyberg. She was sitting in third position in the B category before this race. So there's going to definitely be a big blow up after a few of those B riders made that front group. All right, Nyberg. Wasn't worried about that finish. That's totally me all the time. All right. Someone saved their power up for the finish. That is. And going long for it. You do have 30 seconds. So there's Windy Rollerblades. Nice sprint there. You see those, what are those lightning wheels? This race is all split up. See, 47 minutes. So remember, we said the A is likely to be between 41 and 42 minutes. And the D's and the E's likely around an hour. So oh, look at that level rider, really in position, mid sevens. That's impressive to have that at the end of that race, because it's quite a long race to have that amount of pep at the end. This looks like not quite as spicy as sprint there. All right, these ladies about to hit that last turn, or they have hit the last turn. They're coming down. Ventuccio is one of the women that we had on screen, actually. So she's one of the live riders, Gio. Let's go, Gio. Do it for the camera. Oh, look at those fire socks. Ah. Where? Nice. Wow, she's flying. Look at that separation she got in just those last 150 meters. She really. So that was Giovanna Ventuccio. Oh, this is Elise. But no one went with her, really. Prochnow really saved her energy, and she saved her power up, which is impressive considering she stayed in the front group through both of those KOMs. All right. Well, I am very sad that Ashley wasn't able to make it, because I was going to fangirl her the whole time. So instead, I just got to fangirl all of you. So that was awesome. Great racing. Really difficult to stay with a group through that 5-minute segment. And we saw the A's be pretty conservative, and the B's that stayed with that group are definitely going to be your leaders of the B group going into that last race. The last race also has special prizes. So remember, in the second week, Gentile 8, we had 2 segments that were FAL, and those segments were had special prizes associated with them. And the special prizes are the 2 segments from the second week and the 2 segments from the last week together. Your time together or your position together determines whether you get the prize or not. So that should be interesting. That one's going to be Chasing the Sun and McCrory. And sadly, Damon can't broadcast that one. So it'll be less awesome, but still awesome, because we have Gina who's going to help us set up a broadcast. And so at least we'll have commentary, and at least it won't be just me. Big improvement from just me. So awesome racing, ladies, and we'll see you next week. So bye for now.